technique that can be used in marketing that uses a 7-step storyline way to describe how to sell something. And I wanted to teach it to you today using this speech on the story of mentoring as my storyline. Here's what the storyline looks like. The first step is all stories begin with a character who has some kind of problem. Then they meet a mentor. And the mentor and the protege come up with a plan. Then there's a call to action. And they make sure that they work through any sort of failures and end in success. Now that you know what the process is, let's begin our story. You might think the story is about me, but it's not. Our story is actually about Marcy, our VP of Education. Marcy had a problem. Last year, she accepted the role as VP of Education and learned that she was now in charge of organizing all the club contests. What was she to do? How was she supposed to organize multiple events when she had very little experience in doing a club contest? With her interrobang personality, was she going to succeed? You can tell that this is going to be a story ablaze with colorfulness. Now is the time when I come into the story as the guide on the side. And so I met with Marcy. And Marcy, if some of the story doesn't sound like it quite happened, it's probably because I'm embellishing it a little to make the story more interesting. And if we knew we were part of a greater story, I'm sure we would have done it the way that I'm going to describe. So we got together and we went over some of the resources. We found the official club contest book from Toastmasters and found all of their certificates and ballots and forms that are available to download. We also found some really handy scripts for the chairperson and the chief judge that are put out by the district. Knowledge stays knowledge unless it's acted upon. And then it becomes experience and hopefully wisdom. Marcy's call to action was the very first contest that we had last year in the fall, the evaluation contest. Marcy stepped up as chairperson and learned firsthand how to organize everything. She learned who needed to volunteer for what positions, what forms to give them, and when. And we had this picture of, well, what could go wrong? A lot of things could go wrong. We might not have enough volunteers in order to fill the roles. We might not have enough contestants to participate. There might be no contest at all. Or perhaps if everything was done at the last minute, we could have a very poorly run contest. We wanted to avoid embarrassment, frustration, even loss of sleep. I have to say that Marcy completed the chairperson role, and then at the next contest, she participated as a contestant, and at the next one, as a chief judge. And she really filled out her experience with contests. Marcy far exceeded my idea of what success looks like in the contest that just happened a few weeks ago. Marcy had the opportunity to just step forward and do the contest, take charge of them. But instead, what she did is she delegated the responsibility. She herself then mentored new leaders and showed them how to become new chairpersons and chief judges. And so not only did Marcy experience personal success, but her whole club experienced success because of that. So whether you are a company who sells dish soap and you have a commercial that shows a mom with a frustration because of a sink full of dirty dishes, and along comes a sudsy product that cuts through the grease, and helps her to get over her frustration by cleaning up all the dishes, so now she has a happy life with an empty sink. Or you're a screenwriter who wants to tell a good story about a boy from a backward planet who wants to join in the fight, and suddenly Yoda shows up and trains him, and he fights the dark side and blows up the Death Star, saving the galaxy. This process of the storyline coming in is something that the audience can relate to and remember. So we have a character who has a problem. They meet a guide who has a plan. There's a call to action, and we see the difference between failure and success. And like all good stories, we have reached the end.